everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is April if you've never been here before, and today I want to go over all the books on my fantasy romance TBR. I absolutely love fantasy romance. It's one of my favorite subgenres to read, and November and December especially, I am in the mood. I am in the mood for all the fantasy romance. There are a lot of books coming out very soon that I want to read, and then there's some that are already on my TBR that I really need to get to, like my top tier priority TBR. And then there's some other books that I want to fit in if I can. I have a lot to go through, so let's get right into it. The first book I think on every fantasy romance reader's TBR that's coming out right now is Carissa Broadbent's newest book called The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. This is the next installment in this series, so this is the third book. However, the main couple is shifting to another different couple. This is Misha's book and I'm really excited for it. I absolutely love this series. It's one of my favorites. In fact, it's one of the series that I have double copies of. Is this double? I have 2 copies of each of the books. I don't know how that happened, it just did. But yeah, I can't wait for this book to come out. I'm so excited for it. And the next book, I can't believe I got this arc of, I really can't. For some reason, I feel like this is a special one. Grave Matter by Karina Halley. This actually comes out on October 23rd, so this week. It's the 21st right now. And I'm so excited about this. She's saying it's like a horror romance slash psychological thriller, kind of a dark academia or an academia thing. But she's saying it's not as spicy as her other books. So she is known to be very spicy. She's still saying there is some super hot moments in this, but they're gonna be a little less than what she normally does. This is about a girl that has a very prestigious opportunity dropped in her lap to do some research on Alzheimer's with a group of other students. And terrifying things start happening. There's ghosts, there's like fungal things. She promises some fungi stuff. And a lot of other scary things that are also a little bit thriller-ish. I'm super excited for this book. I absolutely want to read it, but I have some other commitments before I can start it. But yeah, as soon as I finish the books I'm reading now, like the 3 or 4 books I'm in the middle of right now, I'm hopping on the train to this one because I cannot wait. The next one that's coming out very soon, I think it's in December, is Steel Heart Iron Claw. This is by Evie Marceau. This is the 3rd book in this series from her. First book, I can never remember the titles of these. Black Knight, White Horse, Black Knight. This series follows a girl who is God-touched. She talks to animals and she is betrothed to a king, and the king wants her to reenact this very famous fable in their land by riding a horse buck naked for 21 days with only a guard of his choosing to guard her. It's a bodyguard romance, but it's so much more. A lot of things in this happen that are very unique, and I really loved this series. The second book was even better, so I'm really curious to see what happens in the 3rd one, because the 2nd book ended kind of explosively and it was definitely a cliffhanger, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for the next one. The next one I don't know too much about, but Joanna from XO Joe, she was talking about this recently in a reading sprint that we were doing. She has an advanced copy of this and was reading it and was enjoying it. It's called The Serpent and the Wolf. This is also by Rebecca Robinson. I've never read anything from her, and you all know that I love trying out new authors. But this one is a high-stakes romantasy with a lot of political intrigue and a slow burn, steamy romance. It's also enemies to lovers, which, I mean, who doesn't love enemies to lovers? There's probably a lot of you that don't love enemies to lovers, but I do. After losing her mother, Vasa thinks death looms, and so does her brother. Her brother keeps trying to kill her because he thinks she's a threat to his crown. What? Stop it. Oh, so of course he marries her off to a ruthless foreign ruler in hopes he can use her death as a rallying cry to finally invade that nation. All she has to do is die. Already, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I really love that. I love huge political moments in fantasy romance, so this one, definitely want to read. This one comes out in November. Stop calling. I'm getting spam calls all the time. So rude. Stop. And the last one coming out soon that I really want to read. Again, I don't know anything about this book. I just know that it's Mary E. Pearson and I'm gonna read it. I have it pre-ordered. This is Court of Bristol Keats. Mary E. Pearson is one of my favorite fantasy romance authors. She wrote the Remnant Chronicles. She wrote the duology following that. And this is a whole brand new story. And it's adult. So now she's jumping into adult and I love that because I'm not quite in the YA fantasy romance mood anymore. But again, I don't know anything about this. All I know is it has some really beautiful sprayed printed edges on it. And so I bought it because she's my favorite author and I love her. Okay, so these are the books on my fantasy romance TBR that are already out right now that I want to get to first. I have a lot of books that are out right now that I want to get to overall, but these are like my priority ones. First off being Castle of Never Nightmares by Lana Peherchik. This is a tournament style Why Choose book. I don't know anything else about it besides that and the fact that it has beautiful, beautiful artwork inside here and also the map. Again, fantasy romance lovers, we love a good map. This one is an amazing map and Lana herself drew it. It also has some great artwork of the characters inside here. So like here's one of them as well. I'm probably gonna read the ebook version of this, but I bought this because I absolutely love the artwork of it. Love a good tournament style fantasy romance. Love a Why Choose. So one would think this will be a banger for me. Can't wait to read it. Phantasma is out. Everyone has been loving it, saying it's very of the moment because it is a little bit of a spooky season book. Another tournament, I think, or a games type of book. And also has a feeling of Caraval, which I love Caraval so much. And this is just an adult version of it, so I need to read it. Anathema by Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake is a queen. She is the queen of gothic romance. This is a fantasy romance that she's written and it's gonna have some darker themes to it. Again, I don't really know anything about this book. I just know Carrie Lake wrote it and I need to read it. Then we have The Stars Are Dying by Chloe C. Peñaranda. I totally bought this for these moon sprayed edges. Because I love the moon phases, I love tarot art, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I bought this. I have no idea what this book is about. There's something about a quest, something about trials, something about escaping yourself. Again, I don't really know. Love the gold end papers in here. And does it have a sweet map? Well, it has artwork on the inside, which is another reason why I bought it. Listen, this book, beautiful. It has a beautiful map. Okay, listen. I don't know anything about it, but I bought it. I need to read it. I need to read it. Two more books that I own that I should have read by now, but I haven't. One being The Shattered City. This is by Lisa Maxwell. This is the penultimate book of this series, which is Magicians. The Last Magicians. The Last Magician series. I love this series. It's very fantasy forward with a very light romance subplot. So if you're into more fantasy forward things, but there's a lot going on in here. Again, if you like multi-POV, if you like kind of gangster stuff, if you like time travel, if you like adventure, if you like magic, this story has a lot of things. It is so good. This book is super chunky. It is super chunky, however, I have the audiobook of it and I just need to finish it already, but I haven't read it yet because I don't want it to end. I don't want it to end. Hart and what's her name? Anna? Esta. I don't want Hart and Esta to end. So I haven't read it yet, but I need to because I I adore this series. It's so good. It's complex and amazing. I love it. And then I also have The Other Side of the Mirror by Dana Evan. This book again is every time I have physical books, I hit myself in the face, okay? It just happens. Her family was murdered 7 years ago, and all of a sudden she's abducted and taken into a fairy realm through this mirror. A handsome fae saves her and says he has to take her to her fairy soulmate so she can end a world-crushing curse. I don't know, this one just sounded really fun and adventurous, a little bit of a road trip romance, which I usually love. And there is a second book coming out, so I really need to get to this one. Also, this one doesn't have a dust jacket, and I love when they do that. So, and it's kind of one of these ones where the edges are gray, but when you kind of go like this, they're black. So, also it has this total like fairy core forest moment. Come on, gotta read it. One that has been on my TBR for far too long, The Scattered Bones. This one will definitely 100% be read by the end of the year. This is about a woman putting back together her former lover because his bones are scattered all over a kingdom and she has to find them and then she has to go through these trials to get them. And yeah, it's kind of just sounds super cool. I really need to read that one. Also, Settle Down Princess is one that I recently found that sounded amazing because it is a standalone fantasy romance. It's 800 pages. However, it's also white shoes. So, Settle Down Princess, I think she's married to just a gruesome, horrific, murderous king. And he's already killed previous wives of his. So she's like, oh, hell no. She tries to run away. And then she meets all these guards that are coming to get her to try to take her back to the king. And of course, some of them are shifters and some of them are fae and some of them are creatures. So I don't know what's going on in this one, but it sounds really fun. And again, fantasy romance, white shoes, standalone. Love a good standalone. I don't know if I can get to all of these by the end of the year, but they certainly are some of the other priorities that I have on my TBR. The Goddess of, I heard about this book. Don't really know too much about it other than this cover is absolutely gorgeous. And she's some kind of goddess and gods and goddesses. I love a good book with gods and goddesses. The Mist Thief, which is the next L.J. Andrews book. I am trying to read this before I see L.J. Andrews at romantasy next year. The Night Garden, this one sounds more dark. Something to do with drugs and a curse of a man trapped as a cat in a garden. Listen, it just sounds really cool. Okay, I just want to read it. The Wraith King by Juliet Cross, right? Is that who this is? Juliet Cross. I don't know too much about this. All I know is it got pushed back a long time ago and it's still on my TBR. And now that it's actually out, I do want to read it. I love Juliet Cross. Metal Slinger, this one is going around right now. It seems like the hot book right now. So I want to read it. I just want to read it. I've heard really good things. A girl who knows how to fight. That's all I know. That's all I know about it. A girl who knows how to fight. And I love those. And then last but not least, I really need to get to Blood and Steel by Helen Schurer. This again is a girl that knows how to fight. And so she does. And yeah, it's supposed to be very, very, very good. And I want to read it at some point. I just know I'll like it. I just need to get to it. I do have the audiobooks of it, so that kind of makes things a little bit easier. Those are all the books on my fantasy romance TBR. Let me know if you're going to read any of these or if you have and you've liked them. I'm always on the lookout for new fantasy romance as well, so if you've read one recently that you absolutely loved, put it in the comments below. Because it's just my favorite genre and I love reading them. But anyways, as always, I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time.